Yes, welcome to block 6. This time we're going to shake it up a little, and that I'm going to show you some of the batik fabrics to making this block. You have already made your block, and now we have to frame it. So once the block 6 is made, you're going to do the cuts for your frames. There's round 1, round 2, round 3, and round 4. You're going to cut your background squares, and you're going to cut all your 1 3/4 inches. Make sure you cut them 1 3/4 inches. Some people don't see the 3 over that 4 and they think it's 1 1/4, but it's 1 3/4 inch wide rectangles, and you're going to cut all those. And once you have all of this, your block and all the frames cut, you're ready to start making the frames for the log cabin. So we're going to take fabrics 2, 3, and 4 out of the way for right now, and we're going to deal with fabric 1. So in fabric 1, which is also known as your B and C pieces, if you're reading the front page, you're going to take your little squares and you're going to line them up. One right after the other. You're going to leave a little bit of space in between. You don't need to leave a lot of space. You know, 1/8 of an inch is probably just fine, like that. I'm going to scooch them just a little closer, like that. And you're going to stitch your 1/4 inch seam down where the two fabrics meet. You're going to notice the square is a little bit wider than the strip. It's supposed to be. And then you're just going to stitch your 1/4 inch down the side. Now that we've got them all sewn together, we're going to cut between them. And what I'm going to do is line up one line of my ruler on the edge that I just sewed on, and then one line going straight down the square. And then I'm going to reach around this camera and cut. So it's going to look like that. Now I have a little bit of this showing, so I'm just going to flip this over, and I'm going to trim with my ruler on the edge of the square, my line on my ruler on the edge that I just sewed on. Actually, Chrissy is sewing for me today, so I appreciate that. And then you have something that looks like this. And you continue down your strip till you get them all cut up and all trimmed. So what we're doing is we're going to make the 4 corners all at one time. Okay? Now that you have all your A and B units made, and what I am referring to is your directions. Let me see if I can get these where they show. There we go. A and B. So you cut A 2-inch squares of white, and round 1 colored fabric is B and C. So if you go down to the diagram and see where A, B, and C are, I have to go backwards to what's normal. Backwards and upside down. But A, B, and C. So we have made A and B. A being the white, B being the colored. Now C, we add C to the bottom of A, B, and C. And C, if we go up to our chart up above, is still color number 1, our round 1. Round 1 fabric is B and C. So what we're going to take is this fabric with the white on the left side, and we're going to put our C on the bottom of it. So if I do this, then I just flip it over so I have it all lined up correctly, and we're going to chain them down the strip just like we did with just a single square. We're going to leave just a little bit of space in between each of these. And this is making a log cabin, the strip technique. And so we line them all up. They're all lined up on this upper edge. You'll notice that they hang off the strip because the strip is narrower at this point in time than the rest of this. And we're going to sew our 1/4 inch right down the edge. So now we've sewn this, we're going to take our ruler and we're going to cut them apart just like we did with the first step. And if you have any hanging over on the other edge, the opposite edge that you just cut, just flip the piece over and cut it off. And this is, if you look at the diagram on the front page, this is A, B, and C. This was step 2 on the second page if you're reading as you go along. So this is what it looks like. You use the diagram on the first page, will guide you through which fabric to use. The written directions are on page 2. So we're going to cut these apart and then we'll be ready for step 4. Okay, so now we have all our round 1, 2, and 3. And if you look at your diagram on the first page, we are now ready for D and E. And D and E were part of our long rectangles out of the background that we cut. So we're going to add, here's A, B, and C, just like your diagram. D is going to be added to this side. And E is going to be added after you get the D on there. After D is on there, then you're going to add E. And if you can kind of notice, they're a little bit longer than the actual piece. So we're going to sew ours and then we're going to show it to you. So now your squares, if you look on step 4, should measure 4.5 inches. So if you look at my ruler, here's 4.5, here's 4.5, and Chrissy is sewing them dead on. Good job, Chrissy. So then you're going to add the next round, which will be fabrics F and G, which is your next round, your color 2 fabrics. You're going to add it. Here is what it looks like on the diagram on page 1. A, B, C, D, E. We add F, and then we add G to the bottom. So after you add round 2, then you're going to start adding the rectangles to each end. After you get this one sewn, this should measure 7 inches. This is what the block looks after you complete step 5. Notice how it's stair-stepping, and that is what we're after. And if you put your ruler on it, see how it measures 7 inches this way and 7 inches that way. So that is the completion of round 5. Now you're going to just keep doing the same thing for round 6 and round 7, which is colored fabric 3 and color fabric 4. All right, Chrissy has finished making her block. So this is what I'm going to turn it on the side so you can see it. You should have this step side to it. That is what we were after. In a perfect world, your blocks would measure 12 inches from this edge to this edge, and from this edge all the way up to here, to 12. So I'm going to measure Chrissy's, and we'll see what she's at. So she is at 11 3/4. And you know what? That's where a lot of you are going to be at. It is okay to be short. It is okay to be a hair big. It is going to work. So do not fret, okay? We're after, in the perfect world, for it to be 12 inches this way and 12 inches this way after you get all the little side pieces sewn on. If it doesn't measure quite that, it's okay, make all 4 of them, and then we'll talk about framing the block that goes on the inside.